Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 413. Good morning, everybody. It truly has been a long morning. We lost, when I was doing the morning brief, our cat passed away. She was over 14 years old. Now, when I finished the broadcast, I went outside to check on her, and she had died sometime between the podcasts because I saw her moving her tail when I was coming back here. So first thing I did, I told my daughter, I was going to go check on her as soon as I got done, and now she's gone. So it's going to be a sad day for us because we've had her for years. I know if my daughter is listening, she's probably bawling her eyes out right now. There's this company here in Copper's Cove in Killeen called Paws in Paradise, and they'll come up and pick up your pet, do a cremation, box her up in an urn, and do pictures and stuff like that. For her, she weighs like 6 pounds. It'll be $115. So I was tasked right after I finished this to go and make that phone call and arrange for Hepburn to be picked up. Yeah, her name is Hepburn. Okay, but for them to come pick her up after Rachel gets back home. So we'll make that happen today and stuff. But yeah, it's a sad day. She's they tell you. I know I'm not a cat person, but they tell you can't adopt a cat, but a cat will definitely adopt you. And that cat adopted me. I could not go nowhere in this house with that cat all over me all the time. She spent more time with me than almost anybody else. So I guess she felt protected around me, that I wouldn't hurt an animal anyway. Not a domesticated one. But yeah, Hepburn's gone 14 years. Matter of fact, May she turned 14. Alrighty, so let's get this going and stuff. I've already said welcome. Man, I'm out of it now. But okay, so if Rachel's watching this, if y'all are watching a podcast right now, put something in the comment, put something in the live chat saying sorry for your loss, Rachel, and then she'll see. If you put it in the comment section, she'll definitely see it. Okay, so if you're watching this, in the comment section, put your condolences for Hepburn. That was her name, like after Audrey Hepburn, and then Rachel will see it when she gets off work. All right, so for to follow the podcast, to be a follower, please click the bell. There's a little bell beside the red circle that says join. Click that bell, scroll down, and you'll see follow. Click the follow button, please. And then next to it, you'll see a thumbs up button for to like the episode. Please do so. And if you want to chat, you can. Or if you want to leave a comment, you can also. It's all about the algorithm, people. Come on. Get with it. All right. So America 250. I'm going to do this. It shouldn't be too hard. So today, the Committee of Five in the Second Continental Congress was Sherman, Livingston, Adams, Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson. They were tasked to write a Declaration of Independence, right? And then we have the rough draft of the part of the Declaration containing the charges against the Crown. Got breaking news. Hold on. Trump admin yanks funding for top homeless agency amid explosive fraud probe. I'm going to read about that when we're done. Okay. So this is what it says. It'll go fast, okay? Because, we've seen this before. Whereas George, King of Great Britain and Ireland and Elector of Hanover, heretofore entrusted with the exercise of kingly office in his government, hath endeavored to pervert the same into a detestable, insupportable tyranny, by putting his negative on laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good, by denying to his governors permissions to pass laws immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation for his consent and to suspend neglecting to attend to them for many years by refusing to pass certain other laws unless the persons to be benefited by them would relinquish the inestimable right of representation in the legislature by dissolving legislative assembly. And remember, this is just a rough draft. By dissolving legislative assemblies repeatedly and continuing for opposing the manly and firmness his invasions of the right of the people when dissolved by refusing to call others for a long space of time, thereby leaving the political system without any legislative head by endeavoring to prevent the population of our country and for that purpose obstructing the laws, encouraging the importance of foreigners and raising the conditions of new appropriation of lands, refusing judiciary establishments to some point of more breaking news. Hold on. Trump rages against media coverage of Iran war on Fox and Friends interview. Yeah. Because they hate Trump that bad. Everyone hates Trump. He could, you know what? Trump could discover enough oil or enough gold in our country, make us the richest country in the planet, which we pretty much already are, except for the 39 trillion we owe everybody, and they would hate him for it. You know what? If I was Trump, I would change my last name to Smith, and see what happens then. Wow. By keeping us in times of peace, standing armies and ships of war, by effecting to render the military independent of and superior to civil power, by combining with others to subject us to a foreign jurisdiction, giving his consent to their pretend acts of legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us and protecting them with murders, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for depriving us of imposing taxes without our consent, for depriving us of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretend offenses, for taking away our charters and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring them invested with powers to legislate for all us in cases whatsoever, by plundering our seas, ravaging our coasts, burning our towns, destroying the lives of our people, by inciting insurrections of our fellow citizens with the allurements of forfeiture and confiscation, by prompting our Negroes to rise up in arms among us, for those Negroes whom by an inhumane use of negative he hath refused us permission to exclude by law, by endeavoring to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers of merciless Indian savages whose known rule of law of warfare in an undistinguishable destruction for ages, sexes, and conditions of existence, by transporting at this time a large army of foreign mercenaries to compete with the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun, with circumstances of cruelty, pity, and unworthy in the head of a civilized nation, by answering our repeated petitions for redress with a repetition of injury, and finally by banning the helm of government, declaring us out of his allegiance and protections. Now that's the rough draft of the declaration with the charges against the crown, and it will get better. All right, we all know that. All right. So now we have the armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the armament shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting, and browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes both online and in person. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the armament shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove. Call or text 254-560-2023. And then you can visit them at www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop. Your safety, our priority. All right. Let me set up. Here we go with the JP8 report. We are coming to you from Iran update. All right. What do we got here? Jordan and Kuwait have closed their airspaces due to Iranian missiles in their airspace. They all got knocked down. Because Trump authorized further military action. Last night was night 2, and I will show you. Well, you know what? I'm going to read it to you. Okay. He did a Truth Social a while ago. I'm going to read it straight from the screen so y'all won't see it on my side. The United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and other forms of defense, together with most of its offensive capability, are gone, all caps. Very hard tonight, all caps. At some point in the not too distant future, we will be taking Carg Island and other infrastructure points and assume total control over the oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela, which is working out brilliantly for both Venezuela and the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All caps. All right? And I did put a heart on that one this time. All right, so like I wrote down here, U.S. strikes Iran's ADA, their surveillance, and their communication sites. There were 49 Tomahawks fired, along with a whole slew of aircraft. Iran senior officials called the White House directly, and they were transferred to the situation room. Iran falsely claims that there was a naval engagement off the coast of Bahrain. There was no such naval engagement because Iran does not have a navy. Iranian commander makes threat if the Strait of Hormuz is destabilized. Stop placing mines in the strait and it won't be destabilized. Targets outside of Tehran. They were within about 40 miles of Tehran, and most of the rest of them was around southwest Iran. The U.S. says the strait is not closed. Okay, the strait is not closed. And then over the last few weeks, the U.S. has been secretly moving upwards to 200 vessels through the Strait of Hormuz without Iran knowing about it, which equated to 100 million barrels of oil. That's why, like the president said yesterday, that's why you see $85 oil instead of $250 oil. All right. The stock market is about to open in about 15 minutes. It's at 49,918.78. It was down 953 points yesterday. It'll recover. Brent crude oil went down from what I was telling you for the morning brief. It's at $91.78 a barrel. And then West Texas Intermediate is $88.88 a barrel. And then you have this. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I got my new tumbler from Blackout Coffee. Isn't that cool? 1776, We the People. Awesome. Now y'all don't get to see me drink out of a glass. I got a tumbler for my tea now. Alrighty. The U.S. launched a fresh wave of strikes against Iran Wednesday evening, hours after the president warned additional attacks on the Islamic Republic are coming in to try and force Iran to re-enter serious peace negotiations. CENTCOM forces began launching additional self-defense strikes at 5:15 Eastern, 5:15 p.m. Eastern, against multiple targets in Iran at the commander-in-chief's discretion. That's per the combatant command for CENTCOM. He put that on X. The strikes are in response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. There were no reports of specific targets, damage, or casualties. We've been hitting them hard tonight. The president told Fox News to ask what we'll do if Iran doesn't make a deal. The president responded, "We'll bomb the blank out of them tomorrow." That was this morning, all right? And it's going to happen again. Trump also revealed he spoke with top Iranian officials in the sit room who begged him to stop bombing. At least 49 tomahawks were fired by U.S. forces at Iran, while fighter jets dropped bombs and additional bombs on the country. The closest target to Tehran was about 40 miles, which I did say in the update. Wednesday's attacks came after the nation of Bahrain, Jordan, and Kuwait, all of which host U.S. troops, came under Iranian fire. They also took place one day after the initial wave of strikes that followed the takedown of an Army Apache helicopter in the Strait of Hormuz by an Iranian drone. The most miraculous. Oh my goodness, yeah. I know I explained it in detail yesterday. It was, man, unbelievable. It says here, hours earlier, the U.S. military said it had fired on an oil tanker attempting to transport fuel from Iran in violation of its blockade on the country's ports along its crucial waterway. Captain Tim Hawkins, CENTCOM spokesman, said the American aircraft fired precision munitions into the engine room of the Palau flagged vessel MT Cerebello, making it the 8th merchant vehicle disabled by U.S. forces in the waters off Iran. Wow. So a lot going on, and just unless sometime today Iran says, okay, we're done, we're checking out, it'll going to be hit again tomorrow. Sooner or later, they'll figure it all out. All right. So before I get into this part, hold on just a second. So the Texas GOP convention starts today down in Houston. I know I've been announcing it on the podcast. And then on the same day, the governor put out, well, he put it out yesterday. I'm going to go over that real quick before. Where am I? There it is. Okay. So Greg Abbott put out a statement about data centers yesterday. Okay. And Abbott directs regulators to make data centers pay for their own infrastructure costs. It says, while touting Texas's economic growth, Abbott warns rapid data center expansion cannot come at the expense of Texans. Governor Abbott has directed state regulators to ensure Texans are not stuck paying for expensive grid upgrades tied to the rapid expansion of data centers. In a letter to the PUC, which is the Public Utilities Commission, their chairman Thomas Gleason, and of ERCOT is the Energy something Council of Texas. Oh, Energy Reliability Council of Texas. Pablo Vegas. Abbott warns that fast-growing data center development must not burden Texans with infrastructure costs or high residential bills. Since Texas's economic boom has made Texas a magnet for data centers, Abbott insisted new oversight is needed to ensure that data centers interconnect to the ERCOT grid. Residential electric bills will not be negatively affected. Yes, very true. Abbott directed the PUCT to take action so that the data centers interconnections result in reduced residential electrical bills and to require data centers pay for all their electric infrastructure costs, preventing those costs from being shifted onto residential taxpayers, ratepayers. While large data centers already pay part of their interconnection and grid costs, Abbott's order presses regulators to shift from the burden of as possible of taxpayers' rates and onto the facilities themselves. He also instructed the PUC and ERCOT to review existing authority and identify additional actions that they can now to safeguard Texas and their property and resources. Under the directive, PUC and ERCOT must submit joint memorandum to the governor's office by July 17th, which is a month away, summarizing that they can do what they can do under the law, spelling out statutory limits, and recommending legislative changes to implement his objectives. As part of the review, Abbott say regulators should consider ways to prevent centers from shifting developmental risk and costs onto Texans, require sustainable resource management, and minimize adverse effects on communities. Abbott separately ordered PUC to initiate action to reduce residential transmission costs by July 31st, 2026, linking the data center issue to a broader concerns about rising transmission charges on power bills. He framed the move as building. He framed the move as building on Senate Bill 6, which imposes stronger standards on large loads like data centers, but did not fully resolve the risk to consumers. Abbott also pledged to work with lawmakers to codify the PUC actions and require data centers to convert their own electrical infrastructure costs, and with the goal of lowering residential ratepayer costs. The governor added that he would back requirements of all new data centers use water efficient technologies such as closed loop cooling system, and that large facilities annually report their electric and water data to the PUC. He further proposed, and all my people out here in Coryell County will love this one. He further proposed repealing sales tax exemptions and other outdated, unnecessary incentives for data centers and requiring operators to reduce local impacts through measures like setbacks and noise reduction technology. Abbott wrote that while Texas will continue to welcome innovation and investment, growth must improve quality of life without placing the burdens on Texans and local communities. Sidney Henry wrote this article for the Texas Scorecard. Lots of changes. Some of that's got to go through the Texas legislature to get passed, but he jumped on it. So that's really good and very encouraging for a lot of people that had lots of concerns about natural resources being expended in Texas. Alrighty. So let me get back here. All right. Onward. That's encouraging, right? So the president, we go from governor, we go to the president. President Trump signed the bill funding ICE and Border Patrol for the rest of his term. That being said, the FY26 budget is now fully funded. It just took November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 8+ months before the budget was finalized. Ridiculous, right? Trump on Wednesday signed legislation to fund key immigration enforcement agencies through the end of his term after Congress approved the package via the reconciliation process. This morning, I am thrilled to sign the Secure America Act to immediately and fully fund the Department of Homeland Security through the end of my term. That would be 2029. They did that just in case the Congress turns over to Democrats in November, which we seriously doubt. But, you just got to plan for the future. Legislation followed a record-breaking shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, which the shutdown ended with Congress passing a bill to fund DHS, but it excluded Borderfront and ICE, which they just took care of. Republicans used the reconciliation process for both agencies while bypassing the Senate's 60-vote filibuster threshold. It was 214 to 212 in the House. It was 52 to 47 in the Senate. All right. Not a single Democrat voted for it. All right. Last night was a congressional baseball game in D.C. at the National Stadium. It was the 6th year in a row that the Republicans have beat the Democrats. And I think this is the 63rd annual game. Congressional Republicans knocked it out of the park Wednesday night when they defeated their Democratic colleagues in the congressional baseball game. Republicans won for the 6th year in a row by a score of 11-2. And the Republicans were coached by Congressman Roger Williams, which I was saying earlier. He used to be my congressional representative here. Until we had redistricting through reapportionment. And so in 2022, John Carter became our congressional representative. And it went from Roger Williams to him. Roger Williams, I know him. I don't know if I got a number, which I wouldn't give to you in the first place. He used to be the coach of the TCU Horned Frogs. He owns huge car dealership out in Weatherford, and he used to own one right off of Kent Bowie in 820, but he sold it to Troy Aikman, believe it or not. But I'm from that part of Fort Worth. That's why I know that. All right, but okay. So Roger Williams is the coach. The teams are full of people from the House. Let's see, the Senate. The Senate has Joni Ernst and Eric Schmidt on the team. They're the only two senators. The rest are from the House of Representatives. And on the Democrat side, they also have two senators on the team. It's Ruben Gallego from Arizona and Alex Padilla from California. He's the no name senator that he stormed through the door and started barking questions at Kristi Noem when she was the Homeland Security Cabinet Secretary. And after they tackled him, he identified himself as the senator from California. All right. The game dates back until the 1900s, and since 1960 has been dominated by Republicans. The Republicans are 39-23. And the proceeds go to the Congressional Sports for Charity. All right. Congratulations to 11-2 win for the Republicans last night. Next on the agenda. President Trump said that he may allow the U.S. MCA to expire in 2036. They have the USMCA, the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, is a free trade agreement that was put together in 2020 to protect our three countries with free trade. So it doesn't expire in 2036. They have until they have until July 1st, I think it is. In here, I read through this earlier. It's only 2 paragraphs. Okay, hold on just a second. President Trump said Wednesday that he may let critical free trade agreement between the United States, Canada, and Mexico expire in 10 years instead of agreeing to renew it this next month. Trump implemented the USMCA during his first term in 2020, which replaced the North American Free Trade Agreement, which was called NAFTA. The deal is set to expire in 2036 if all countries don't agree to renew it by July 1st. The president said he is not looking to renew the three-way agreement, highlighting it has served its purpose replacing NAFTA, which he said described it as the worst trade deal I've ever seen. I don't know if I'm going to redo it because, to be honest with you, we don't need anything from Canada. We don't need anything from Mexico, but they have everything we need to have. And they have to treat us better. With Mexico and Canada, we have trade deficits. We should have surpluses with them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything. The comment comes as Canada implored the U.S. and Mexico to renew the deal. If the 3 countries do renew the agreement, it will take effect for another 16 years, but it would be up for review in 2032. If the U.S. and Mexico decline to renew the agreement, it will expire in 2036 and be subject to yearly reviews until then. So this is the last-ditch effort. There's other opportunities. The next round of negotiations between the U.S. and Mexico surrounding the agreement is expected to take place in Mexico and Washington next week on June 16th and June 17th, with emphasis on agriculture. All right. That was from Misty Severi from Just the News. And I lost my pencil. Oh. All right. Let's see. I'll do this part so I don't forget. Sometime this morning, probably within about 30 minutes, there's going to be there are opinions scheduled to be released by the Supreme Court. No, allegedly scheduled, because they don't tell us in advance of what's going to be released. Hold on just a second here. I got SCOTUS blog up. Let me refresh. Okay, I don't think. Nope, nothing's been released yet. Because they just brought up. They got 23 opinions remaining to be issued. 43 have already been issued. They got 23 remains. The court officially has 2 days left after the day when it is scheduled to take. Wow. Someone said maybe we'll get 20-some today. Okay, so we have to wait 25 minutes for that. So go to scotusblog.com, scotusblog.com, and you'll be able to see it. Pretty cool. All right. Let me go back over here. So Act Blue. Act Blue was before Congress yesterday, before the House, and their CEO took the Fifth Amendment 22 times during that hearing yesterday, including, this is how stupid this lady is. I mean, I know she's got to be smart to be a CEO, allegedly. Her name is, I know it's in her. Oh, her name is Regina Wallace Jones, right? And a Republican congressman asked her, is her name Regina Wallace Jones, Regina Wallace, or Regina Wallace Jones? Would you believe that she looked at that congressman and said, I need to invoke my Fifth Amendment protections for answering that question? All he did was ask her, not ask her to sneeze, but ask her what her name was. That's all. And she took the Fifth Amendment. That means, was she really the person that's supposed to be there? Or, okay, I got some type of notification. Was she really the person supposed to be there, or was she just being snarky and disrespectful to the congressman? But she invoked her Fifth Amendment rights when he asked her what her name was. All right, that's stupid. So Act Blue CEO Regina Wallace Jones invoked the Fifth Amendment multiple times Wednesday during a House Administration Committee relating on the panel's investigation into the campaign donation platform's verification policies and procedures. The committee's investigation centers on how the company vets foreign donations and whether it weakened the fraud protections during the 2024 elections. The CEO has been warned that she might have misled Congress on how Act Blue vets foreign donations. Wallace Jones invoked her Fifth Amendment right not to testify 22 times in response to questions by House Republicans, according to a tally from the New York Times, and maintained that invoking the Fifth did not mean she had anything to hide, but she would not verify her name. Really. Invoking the Fifth Amendment right is not an admission or even an insinuation of guilt. It is only a reasonable response to a highly partisan proceeding that is about harassing the largest political opponent's fundraising platform. Yeah, killed him now. Yes. Invoking, Act Blue funnels hundreds of millions of dollars into each election cycle to Democrat candidates of political groups as well as other major left-wing causes. It has long faced scrutiny over alleged foreign and fraudulent contributions and it is denied wrongdoing. Democrats in the House have claimed the hearing was a form of vendetta and have pledged to seek testimony from When Read, which is leading an online platform for Republican candidates. And my saying to this is, not only is the lady stupid, she is. They can investigate When Read. I don't have a problem. If there's something wrong with When Read, we need to be informed about it so we can correct that problem. All right? Because you got nefarious people all over the place. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. There are bad people out there. I got a story here about Oyster Boy. All right. Miss McDonald is his political director. They used to be his political director. She left because she found out the truth about Oyster Boy or Graham Plattner. She said that he should not be senator from Maine. Graham Plattner's former top aide is discouraging voters from supporting the Maine Democrats' campaign for Senate. In an open letter published to the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die, on Monday, Guinevere McDonald, the former political director for Plattner's Senate primary campaign, said that she quit the campaign in October because she was disturbed by what she learned about Plattner. As Tuesday's primary arrives, I want to make clear what transpired since August and why my concerns have only grown. McDonald referred to recent accusations by multiple women who described their relationships with the candidate as volatile and toxic. Accusers described the candidate himself as charming and charismatic, but also allegedly demeaning toward women. Plattner also denied allegations of physical intimidation and abuse, but later that he was not a perfect boyfriend and drank too much when he was younger. Someone wrote me a message. She said, oh, wow. Okay. McDonald also referred to the controversial tattoo Graham has on his chest of a Totenkopf. It's a reference to a skull and crossbones emblem used by Nazi SS units. McDonald wrote that Graham assured her it was a military thing. Graham has said publicly he was not aware of the meaning when he got it. So what gives on that one, right? She said over time she began to have doubts about Graham's campaign, and after her departure, the campaign offered her $15,000 to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but she refused. She said the campaign has since attacked her responsibility, and while she was contacted by women who shared disturbing stories, Graham also essentially closed out the race in April when Governor Janet Mills suspended her campaign as donors stopped supporting it. Mills remains on the ballot, and is still eligible to receive votes. She's done this afternoon. Yesterday. I'm sorry. All right. Next. How are y'all doing this morning? It's 8:43. I'm going to take a break just for a second. I'm going to drink some tea. How y'all like my Nick Shirley shirt? I love wearing this thing. People hate it, but I love it. I had someone walk up to me and said they were glad that I wore it. That was awesome. Don't forget to click that like button. And don't forget to click the follow button either on YouTube or on Rumble also, okay? Trump administration officials fired back at critics of the planned White House UFC fight, arguing they can simply avoid the event rather than use an 11th hour lawsuit to block thousands of spectators from gathering on the South Lawn. It would be easy enough to simply avert their gazes for the weekend, Department of Justice attorneys wrote in a court filing this week, instead of they seek to enlist the power of the federal court to impose their idiosyncratic preferences on the rest of the country and ruin the event designed to elaborate on the United States of America. Preparations for a UFC fight have been underway on the South Lawn for weeks, departing the installation of a roughly 90-foot tall steel arch dubbed the Claw. The Public Integrity Unit filed a lawsuit over the weekend on behalf of two Virginia residents in an effort to block the event, sparking the government to change. U.S. District Court Judge Banta rejected the plaintiff's bid. The suit targets a national park, and let me read that sentence again. The Public Integrity Unit filed a lawsuit over the weekend on behalf of two Virginia residents in an effort to block the event, sparking the government to urge the U.S. District Judge Beta to reject the plaintiff's bid. Okay. The suit targets the National Park Service and the Department of Interior to seek an emergency injunction to stop the event, which is expected to draw 4,000 spectators. In the brief, DOJ attorneys wrote that more than $60 million have already been spent. Attendees have already made their travel plans, and the fighters have already began their final weight calls. They also have rounded the event. They also noted the event has been planned for months, with President Trump first announcing in July 2025 this is an obstructionist, baseless, and dilatory movement brought simply to prevent President Trump from hosting the will undoubtedly go down to one of the most historic sporting events our country has ever had in history during our semiquincentennial anniversary. This iconic event is no different than the ones other than the White House events in South Carolina is properly. Man, I'm all congested up. Plaintiffs argue that the event will interfere with the White House and National Mall, while people are describing its setup as hideous. That shouldn't be the basis of a lawsuit, okay? The plaintiffs argue the organizers ignored federal permitting rules, skipped environmental reviews, and triggered conflict of interest concerns involving national park regulations and national environment policy through NEPA. They also said the claw needed to be built with congressional authorization. These types of hopes all these hopes could be dashed at the very last moment, however, by the whim of two people who believe they are superior, and they have superior taste and want to spoil the event for everyone else. Man, the plaintiffs must respond with the final brief by Wednesday, 9 p.m., which was last night. I have not seen anything in the news. They're going to have to come up with something real quick. Man, I think the fight is tomorrow, matter of fact. I think it's June 12th or June 14th. One of the two. All right, so we got all that done. And it's 8:48. So last thing I'm going to talk about is from the Federalist Papers, right? So there's an opinion at the Supreme Court, not only with mail-in ballots, it's about the EPA also. Until the court addresses the flawed non-textual, non-delegation doctrine, federal agencies will continue to make laws and pick winners and losers. The EPA is under the Biden administration crafted a cap and trade, free trade. Okay, let me do this one more time. Until the court addresses the flawed and non-textual non-delegation doctrine, federal agencies will continue to make and pass laws and pick winners and losers. The EPA under the Biden administration crafted a cap-and-trade scheme to allocate market share to the multi-million-dollar hydrofluorocarbons industry, meaning the new market participants, based on their promotion in July, and now one of their businesses, the EPA, is rendered the market share loser under federal agency conditions to take over the hydrofluorocarbons agency seeks review by the Supreme Court, and that pending petition presents a sleeper case that could be imploded much of the administration to an error to make their own unto the High Court's next return. Next Thursday, the Supreme Court will conference over pending petition for review called a petition for certiorari in the case of RMS Georgia versus Choice Refrigerants. The petitioner, known more widely as Choice Refrigerants, is a small business operating out of Georgia which invests in patented blends of refrigerants for air conditioning and other projects in the early ozone trapping refrigerants of the market. In December 2020, this reads bad. Okay. So basically, in a nutshell, what they want is they want the Supreme Court not to listen to the municipalities, just listen to the facts of law that are out there. All right? Some PhD holder must have wrote this one. I might review that one later on. Okay, so at 8:52, I'm going to go back over to the Texas scorecard. Okay, we just read about about data centers, right? AT&T Grievance Studies Institute policies and procedures for ideological content, not academic programs. CBP Commissioner on Border Wall Progress. Okay, there's a good one. The U.S. Customs and Border Protections Commissioner says new wall construction technologies and lower crossings rates are easing the pressure on front line of southwest border. Grant Hawk reports on one of the Commissioner Rodney Scott made to in a conversation with the Center of Immigration Studios. Wow. But remember, ICE and CBP are fully funded now. Okay. This day in history, June 11th, 1865, an estimated 50 individuals descended on the state treasury in Austin, stealing $17,000 in coins and approximately half of the state's gold and silver. No one was captured or charged in the scheme. None of the gold or silver was ever recovered. It said the size in square feet of the Texas Bullion Depository in Leander, a state facility that can hold 12 million ounces of gold, platinum, or palladium, and 17.5 million ounces of silver. Wow. That's a lot. And then JP Morgan said, gold is money everywhere, everything else is credit. Okay. Right. And that's about all of that one. 8:55. We are almost done. There's no way we're going to go over this. I may finish a little bit early. Matter of fact, there's not going to be a raid this morning because I got to just get up here and go take care of Hepburn. Okay. So going on today, it starts today, ends on Saturday, is the Texas GOP convention in Houston, Texas. That's where we choose all of our delegates and stuff and staff for the upcoming 2 years. Uh, Abraham George is running for re-election, and some no-name people are trying to. We'll see how it turns out at the end of the day. I don't know if it's still a paid position, but this is to get someone that has time on their hands that can actually run the Republican Party, just like with uh, our subcommittees on our state senate districts and stuff. Because we have SD24, we have Andy Eller and Mary Jane Avery. All right. Also, 13th of June is the final day because there's no voting today, tomorrow, or Friday. Right? Today's Thursday. Yeah. Today or tomorrow, there's no voting. Saturday in Harker Heights at on Miller's Crossing by the City Hall, there is voting from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm openly endorsing Michael Bloomquist for mayor. Please get out there and vote for him, right? I've already been talking to people in Cove that live out there, and when they go home, they're going to go vote for him. At least they said they will. I need to check on uh, the voter roster, all right? That would be good to see. And then on the 18th of June, you have Area 254, which is going to be Pints and Politics in their upper room. It's a good chance to meet highly motivated people that trust you and think like Republicans and do what's right and getting out the vote, getting more Republicans across the finish line. That's what we do. It's going to be 6 p.m. at the old parking lot for Kmart. I'm glad my phone was on vibrate. All right. But yeah, so that's going to happen then. All right. So we are done for the day. It's already 8:58. Man. But man, I don't have no pictures to show you. But man, matter of fact, I think I do. Hold on just a second here. I don't need to keep this open. Let's see. This is one of my. There's a picture of her. She got big blue eyes. And let's see if there's another one. Show you the picture my wife likes. Oh, there's a funny one. All right, but I want to show you the picture that my wife showed me. Oh, this one. She said she likes this one because it shows how blue her eyes were. Okay. So, yeah, her name was Hepburn. She was 14 years old. Okay. Thank y'all very much for tuning in today. Listen to the Dan Bongino show. It's going to come on in just a second. I'm not rating over to it. I'll just turn it on in another room. Yeah. So it's going to be a rough day. All right. So thank y'all very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report.